All right, welcome back. We are talking about how to do SEO for your website, and we just covered the foundational requirements that you need to accomplish to make sure that you're hitting the right MVC. All right, I'm going to share my screen, and we're going to start here again. So, if you remember, we just went through the most valuable content, deciding which primary keyword group or topic to optimize for. This is the MVC formula. And now we're going to talk about the content wheel, the supporting content wheel. And the content wheel is what content do we need around this MVC in order to support the MVC and make it as relevant as possible. There's a strategy in SEO, and it's called the hub and spoke model. It essentially means that you have one piece of content or one primary topic, and then you have a lot of subtopics that you write about that support that primary topic. Okay. So in our particular case, we decided that our MVC was going to be Key West boat trips, right? And then because they're so close together and because the same pages are already ranking for the same tours, right? Like every time you do one of these searches, the results are very similar, which means that we can group all these things together and try to hit them all. And essentially all that means is that we just need to make sure that we're creating content that hits all of these things. But we'll talk about that in a second, in the next section, actually. So for right now, what we need to do is decide, what does the wheel look like and what content do we need to prop this topic up? Now, what I'm not going to talk about are things like your about page and your privacy policy and terms and conditions and all these other tertiary pages that you need to have on your website and probably want to have on your website, like a gallery or whatever you want to put on there. What I'm going to talk about specifically are like, what content pages do we need in order to provide the right signal to search engines so that they know without a doubt that your website is about a certain topic and that it should rank you because of that reason, right? So the best way to do this, I'm going to just visualize it for you here. And the best way to do this is a couple of ways. One is essentially through keyword research. So the keyword research that we're going to do is going to be very similar to what we were doing before. Now, again, I'm using Ahrefs. So here I have Key West boat trips in the United States. And what I'm going to look for are keyword ideas. Let's see what kind of keyword ideas we can get from Ahrefs. All right, this is a lot of stuff. Let's do this one also rank for. Okay, so here's what's happening with Ahrefs. Because Key West boat trips is a relatively long term, I'm not seeing too much help from Ahrefs at the moment. There's a lot of things that that are related, but it doesn't seem related enough. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to pull up another tool, and it's called Surfer SEO. Okay, and Surfer SEO has a tool called Content Planner. It essentially will look at what other terms are relevant and help you create a kind of sphere of information around the primary thing that you're trying to rank for. In this case, Key West boat trips. All right. So this is kind of new to me. I've been using it a little bit, but I'm not a pro by any means. So I am still kind of figuring it out. Let's see if we can figure it out together. All right. So what it's telling me is that boat Key West, yeah, parasailing in Key West, tours Key West, boat rentals, boat tours in Key Largo, Key West cruise port, private boat charters. So here's an example of something that we had not considered yet. Key West private boat charters. That is not a search term that we have been even looking at yet. So That's one that I think we will probably tag onto this for now before I start building out this wheel. QS Doodle, glass bottom boat. So here's the thing. Even if we don't have a glass bottom boat, we can still have an article about a glass bottom boat. So nothing wrong with that. Key West dinner cruise. That's another one, right? It's similar, but not the same. But it has SEO value. Echo Tour in Key West. That's another good one. Now, the reason I'm pulling these specifically is because they have volume, because I know they have search volume. Day trips to Key West. Day trip to Dry Tortugas. So this one we'll have to check with the client and make sure that it is indeed something that we can write about that's relevant. Sunset Cruise, we already have that one. No, we do not. Sunset Cruise, Key West. Boating in South Florida. That could be something. Key West dolphins swimming. That's seems like an important one. It's not perfectly aligned. We got bottom boats, charters, day trips, sunset cruise, boating. I'm not gonna do jet skis because it's not boating related, but I will do this one, Key West speedboat. Snorkeling the Florida Keys. We'll do that one. Charter Key West. That's a good one. That one will probably be hit here. Double up on that one. Florida Keys boat tour. So that's a good one. So like this is a variation that we have not considered yet. Florida Keys boat tour. Okay, so that's something that we should probably incorporate here. Right, because these are all super similar. I mean, the way to really check this is going to be to put this into Keywords Explorer and seeing what comes up. And seeing if it's the same as the other results. That'll take a minute, so I'll just wait for that to go through. All right, I think that we have enough right now. Yeah, I think we have enough for now to start with. So what we did was we created a list of potential keywords that have search volume, are relevant to what we offer, and further help define what it is that we are doing as a product or service we're offering. I've added the shit out of this later. All right. Okay, so let's go back really quick and check on Florida Keys boat tour here. And we're going to look at the search engine results, and we're going to see if they're different than what we had seen when we looked at these other keywords. Okay, so we are seeing that there's some variation, quite a bit of variation actually, because if you look at the first two, you get similar results. You get you actually get only TripAdvisor. Viator is not on this list here, but you do have Keys Boat Tours, which is a totally different site than we have seen. Boat Tours and Excursions Marathon Florida Keys. So we haven't seen these results anywhere yet. This is a whole new site that we haven't seen yet, and so is this one. Well, it's very slow. So what we can, and kind of the conclusion we can come to is that, well, one, it's very low volume. It looks like here, and only 12 is the difficulty. So what we can actually do is say that's actually not a keyword that we want to optimize for on that page, but we may want to incorporate it somewhere else. So we're just going to leave it here, Florida Keys Boat Tour. All right, this is not working. So by the way, anytime this happens, you have like, you try to go to a website and it hangs and it's in the top 10. Like this, I think it's one of these. It's in the top 10 and it doesn't load. I mean, that's just like opportunity right there. All right, so now what do we do with this? Well, what we need to do is kind of decide on which keywords we're going to go after. And so some of these are going to be far more competitive than others. So we're going to go back into our handy dandy tool in the United States, and we're going to search. So we pulled these from Surfer SEO from the content planner because it was telling us that these were a bunch of keywords that have volume and that are relevant to what we were going after. And then we plug them into Ahrefs so that we can actually see, well, which ones should we actually go after? And you can see that like Sunset Cruise Key West is a highly competitive keyword. This is both of these day trip to dry Tortugas, 42 and 30. Both of these, actually all three of these up here, are very difficult to rank for. So I would say not even to include these because that's just going to be low quality content, right? You want to optimize for the things that you have the best chances of ranking for. If you have pages that rank very poorly, that's a general sign that your site does not match the right terms, the right searchers. So I would say that all three of these should go, right? But we have some interesting things here. The day trips to Key West has a 7. That's a good one. Snorkeling the Florida Keys is a good one. Key West dinner cruise is a good one. Glass bottom boat doesn't have that much, but I think it's relevant, so we're going to go for that one as well. Boating in South Florida. I think we can skip on that one. Key West dolphins swimming. And speedboat. We're going to go for speedboat. It's actually not a speedboat, it's a motorboat. I wonder what that was going to rank for. Let's see. No, that's not even showing up. All right, so no need to even worry about that one because it doesn't even have enough volume that it's in their database. All right. So we have our keywords here. We're going to go after boom, 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 boom. 4, 5. So 5 is a pretty good number. 5 is a pretty good number. Now, I'm going to pick an extra one. Essentially, at this stage, because I'm not the tour operator myself, you as a tour operator at this stage kind of need to look at this and say to yourself, is this relevant enough to my business that I should be putting a page on my website dedicated to this topic? Because fundamentally, at this stage, I actually will have to go to the client and say, can we create content for these pages? Because he will have to determine whether or not, like dolphin swimming, I don't know if that's a particularly unique experience that is like way outside of what he offers and within his realm, right? But it could be partially related, Maybe there are some ways that he can go out and see dolphins. He's clearly related to a glass bottom boat. He doesn't run one, but he has a different kind of boat, right? So like this is kind of like there's some overlap here. You kind of need to play this a little by ear. There's not a particular, this is an exact science. All right. So that's what we're going to do. We're just going to pull these 5 in. So let's do day trips to Key West. And snorkeling Florida Keys. Oh, sorry, snorkeling the Florida Keys. And Key West dinner cruise. Okay, so what we've done here is we've essentially taken the topics that we thought were relevant based off of search volume alone, right? Just search. And we've added it to our little mind map. Now, what we need to do is think about all the other pages that may be relevant for us and our business. So you as a tour operator, you have know-how, you have insight into your business. Things that I don't know. Like for instance, where your tour goes or insider information or whatever else. That's other information that may not be search relevant, but is very user relevant, right? It's knowledge and information that you have about your product or service, about your region, about your location, about your destination that other people don't have and that search engines aren't picking up because it's not obvious. Okay. So in this particular case, some pages that may be useful. And by the way, I'm just going to see if I can bring these over here. So there we go. Look at that. So what we're going to do is we're going to create, not that one, this one. Yeah. So here's one is like best time of year to go boating in Key West, right? That is something that like, other people might not know. And a search may not come up with it, but there's very clearly that there's going to be content there that's super relevant to what you have to offer, right? Something else that you could incorporate as a page would be, best places to visit by boat in the Keys in Key West. Let's just keep the consistent in Key West. Best places to visit by boat in Key West. Another page might be, obviously you'll have your FAQs. So we can put like your FAQs here. Oh man. And you may want to add a page for, in this particular case, it could be like the sea life, species of marine life you can see by boat, right? So these are all things. And by the way, I just came up with these based off of some example of things that are relevant and useful for people that are going and wanting to hang out on a boat. If you wanted to take an angle on these over here on the right of like humor, for instance, you'd be like, you can write a page that's like, how long can I be out on the boat before I get sunburned? Or like, how many hours does it take for your skin to turn to leather, on a boat? I mean, it doesn't really matter what you pick on those, as long as it's relevant and it's unique to you and your brand and what you have to offer. So, go wild. It doesn't really matter. As long as what you're again doing is you're building the wheel of content to support your MVC. Okay. Now, as a quick example, I can show you what we did for Tenerife.fun, where we run whale watching tours. Is that right? No. Oh, I missed an in Tenerife. So our MVC is, in this particular case, now this is a different layout, right? But like, I'm just giving you an example. Our MVC is whale watching in Tenerife. This is our primary page where it's written in a blog format. And then right next to that, then we have, the best time of year for whale watching in Tenerife, where to go whale watching in Tenerife, learn about the most incredible whale species, the Pocket Traveler's Guide, which is like an infographic that we created, the best whale watching trip in Tenerife, and then whale watching private charters versus group tours. Like these are all, some of these are SEO, like the best time of year. This is actually an SEO term, but other ones like private charters versus group tours is just content that's relevant to my audience, and it doesn't actually rank by itself. But what it does do is it props my MVC up. It creates more relevance around what it is that the MVC is about. It's a very positive, strong signal that you have content, lots of content. Content is king. Notice that this entire presentation and every part of this is all about how to structure your content. It's all about content, right? So super important. That's what we need to talk about is content. So let's imagine that this is what we're going for. Now, how do we structure it and what do we put on the page? All right, I think that's the section we're in. So we're essentially which pages to include in your website, supporting information through research, which we talked about, and then what pages to include in the menu is a good one. Let's talk about that really quick. You don't need to put all of this in the menu. You can put them in your blog, for instance, right? Or if it's important enough, you can create it as a separate page and then just link to like day trips to Key West. Maybe it could be a blog post in this particular case. Best time of year could be a blog post. Key West dinner cruise. If you offer a dinner tour, that could be a page that you put right on your homepage. So how you structure that essentially is just dependent on how important it is and what makes sense. So the pages that you want to put in your menu are the pages that have the highest commercial viability and that make the most sense for your business. So even though these are all separate pages, right, on your website, the way that you put them in your menu is dependent upon whether they have commercial viability, because essentially what you're going to be doing is you're going to be signaling to search engines that these pages have value and that they should rank them higher than the others. When you put things in your menu, it signals that those are very important pages. Now, by the way, you'll also have like a tours page, and you'll have like under your tours page, you'll have all the tours that you offer. And so like that's a whole separate conversation. But for this particular case, what we need to do is identify the highest viability terms like day trips to Key West, snorkeling with the Florida Keys. These would be good to put in the menu. Okay. Now, if they're super relevant, like the FAQs, put them in the menu. Those are good for users, right? You want to always be balancing between users and search engines. So for this, you want to put FAQs can go in your menu. Best time of year to go boating, maybe you could go in your menu. Best places to visit by boat could go in your menu. And these are all pages that you can create and content that needs to live on your website. So we covered supporting content wheel. And in the next video, we're going to go over how to create the content outlines and prep the pages.